Just a quick question. Now, regarding suffering and our spiritual life. So, does it come as a way of our pre-incarnative choice, or maybe it's a way of nature trying to bring us to remember our true nature? So, like, what's the concept of suffering and our spiritual growth?
Yes, I got a question. Excellent question. Okay, remember what I said about the English language? Suffering or suffered, or because they say, people say in the past tense, but it's how you view things. It does relate to what you said. Your previous incarnation may mean that you did something or you were involved in something or a part of something which you're now coming back, they call it karma, coming back to kind of like settle that. I've explained in previous videos before that, let's say, for example, you committed a murder, not in self-defense or what, like, there are things you do unintentionally and there are things you do intentionally. But if you did something like that, you would have to come back and experience how others suffered based on your action. And not only, it might be like the family of that person if it was a person. And so you would experience everything each person in that family went through so that you can learn the gravity of your action. And this is why we say even unaliving yourself, it's not a way out, because that's one of the worst things you can do. So you can and then you can come back and have an even worse experience. So it's partly due to maybe previous incarnations. It's also can be looked at as grace. It's a learning curve. It's like preparing you for something which might be more challenging. Yeah, so it's like, for example, if you're gonna have to, this is a simple example, but if you were gonna have to lift a really heavy weight in your next process of evolution, you may incarnate now to train and build your muscles and learn how. That's a kind of silly example because you can't use that can't use a skin suit. But I'm just trying to say some things you're going through are to teach you, and spirituality or higher consciousness does come with, it's like a school of learning, but it does come with what people will consider suffering. This is where you get trials and tribulations to receive the crown of life, to be one of the chosen, to be the 144,000, etc., like it's taught. And the term that normally comes to mind as well is many are called, few are chosen. So to make the grade, it's like if you're trying to get the best, the elite, you're gonna give people an exam, a test, and those who get A are gonna be, or A plus, they're gonna be top. So you want the elite, you want the best. So this is also, it's the way you look at things. Some people look at life like a suffering. Oh my God, this is that. And others look at it like a challenge and a learning process. And every situation you find yourself in, you look at it and you look at it from the point of view of, for every disappointment, there's a blessing, So it depends on your outlook, and that also relates to when you look at things like if there's water in a glass in the midpoint, you can say the glass is half empty, or you can say the glass is half full. So it's about perspective and your attitude, your mental attitude to how you deal with things. And you're going to always have people who are lower vibration and those who are higher vibration. So this is where you have to learn who to be around. Some you need to go down so you can pull them up and make sure they don't pull you down. So there's also that, you have to discern how far you're willing to go. To show a shook doesn't mean you have to, be abused. You can show a shook from a distance. So if someone is constantly abusing you and, you don't need to be around them, or if their energy is constantly, they have to change that and raise their vibration to meet up with yours. because one is always taking and one is always giving. One is always losing, and one is always gaining. So it's about knowing where to be. So when you start transforming into Wu-Sabat, like for example, now we're in this festive season that people are eating so much food, and and if you were partaking of that for many, many years, it's going to feel a bit odd now, where you say, I'm not eating certain things, or I'm not partaking or participating in certain things. And it could be isolating, and it could be like, you're on your own. So that journey, sometimes it's not easy, but the rewards are going to be worth it. And you have to go through that, in quotes, what you're calling suffering, but you don't have to look at it like that, as suffering. So yeah, it's about mental attitude, because sometimes you can put two people in the same situation and their mind will make them behave differently. For example, if you were stuck in a lift, right, for a long period of time, or you're in a position like COVID time where people they weren't used to certain things, like being in solitude for a long period of time because they can't come out of their house. So they thought, or in a prison, or in a lift, or in a caged place. If you're not strong mentally, you will start to freak out after a while, because you can feel claustrophobic. You feel like, you can't move around. You can't do what you used to do. You can't, eat. And then you have somebody else, and they will just sit down and go, what can I utilize this time to do? And they might start training, doing press-ups, doing exercise, focusing, on their mind. So it's all about perspective and how you, look at things.